Hare Krishna. So I was very excited to come here because I heard this was the place of the gold rush. And as Muralidhar Prabhu said, we are here to explore many gold nuggets, excavate many gold nuggets from the gold mine of the transcendental histories of great devotees. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajakaacharya. His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai Ki Jai. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Mukam karoti vachalam Pangum lamghayate girim Yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam. Vancha kalpatarobhyascha Kripa sindhubhyevacha Patitana pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajavadho Vargenaya Kalpita. Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamamalam Prema Pumartho Mahan. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhor Matamidam Tatradarah na paraha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome to all the heroes. All the devotees of Krishna are heroes. Whoever follows the ultimate or the greatest hero, Krishna, is also a hero. Generally, we have some conception in mind about who or what a hero is, right? Immediately we think of something, some picture comes to our mind about what or who a hero is. But from a Krishna conscious point of view, the hero may be something quite different from what the world thinks. And even though there is a lot of difference, but there are some essential features or characteristics which we could say are common. So, I think some flip charts were supposed to come. Where are they? Okay, so I'm going to ask you to just outline or mention what you think are the qualities of a real hero. Think about it. Maybe you've already thought, because that's the topic. So you've been expecting something like this. Who or what is a real hero? Let's put down some qualities or some characteristics, some traits that define a hero. Courage, okay. I can't see that though, but okay. Leader, okay. Leader. Charisma, all right. Example for others, okay. You can raise your hands so that it becomes systematic. Yes. Different, okay, that's a very broad thing. There could be many people who can be different without being heroes, right? But, okay, we put it there. Self-controlled, okay.
One who saves people.
One who saves people. Okay, that's a very broad term. Yes. One who has 6 opulences? In small quantity. Well, not necessarily. Okay, alright. Opulences, you can put 6 opulences. The ultimate 6 opulences are with whom? With Krishna. Yes.
One is ready to sacrifice for the benefit of others.
Say that again?
One leader is ready to sacrifice for the benefit of others.
Okay, sacrificing for the sake of others. Okay, yes. Selfless, all right. Selfless. Persevering, okay. Compassion, yes. Intelligence, okay. Truthful. Say that again. Compassionate or passionate? Compassion, less passion. Sorry, where did that come from? Oh, passionate. That's, well, it has different connotations, but put it down because it's a suggestion. Yes. Determined. Okay, yes? Yes, yes. Powerful. Powerful. Enthusiastic. Controller. Okay.
Continuously dedicated to himself.
Constant self-improvement. Right? Okay. Yes. Tolerance. Okay. Yes.
Self-motivated.
Self-motivated. Okay.
Attractive.
Yes. Say it aloud.
Attractive.
No, no. Yeah.
Sthitapragya.
Simple language.
Extraordinary man.
Extraordinary. Okay. Yes.
Attractive.
Attractive. Meaning, okay, we'll discuss these things later.
Fearless.
Fearless. All right. Influential. Okay. Yes. Alert. Okay.
Has common sense.
Has common sense or uncommon sense? Okay, yes. Huh? Forgiving. Okay. Yes. Dedication. Dedicated. Something's missing? Yes. Honest, okay. Inspiring. Love. Devoted. Love, yes, same thing. Respectful, okay. Huh? Tolerant, that's already there. Yes.
Problem solver.
Problem solver. Okay, we'll put it up, give it a halt here. Generally, a hero is considered as one who performs some extraordinary activities, right? Who does something very special, that is not possible for ordinary people to do. He does something different, yes, but different in a very exceptional way. There are many people who are different, but they may not necessarily be called heroes because they are different. A hero is different, but being different doesn't make you a hero. So generally a person of some extraordinary ability and extraordinary accomplishment, someone who's very courageous, who may exhibit some very sterling qualities. Generally the word hero used to refer to physical valor. Generally, that's the common understanding, physical courage and valor. But we also understand that to be moral courage, spiritual courage or spiritual standing. Now what about things like renunciation? Nobody mentioned renunciation. Does someone who is really renounced also become a hero or not? Or are we only looking for certain kinds of heroes? Somebody who is renounced, does he become a hero? Yes. What else? So now I've given you a hint. Think like that. What about someone who can control the senses? A hero or not? Is it an extraordinary achievement or not? Is he being different or not? So that's a special achievement, a special, extraordinary thing. Someone who can control the senses. It's a huge achievement. One who has conquered the internal battle. There are heroes who conquer the outside, the external battles by physical valor. And there are those who conquer the internal battles and win the internal battles by certain other kinds of spiritual and moral valor. So are they not heroes too? Yes. What else? Move in this line now. Yes.
One who can control the mind.
Yes, senses and mind. One who controls the mind and senses. Similar. Yes. Simplicity. Okay. Something more? Humility. That's right. Generally you think of a hero as being a very flamboyant, swashbuckling kind of person, yes? Who'll be riding on a horse and who'll rescue a maiden and he'll kill 10 people who come to assault the maiden and, yes, something like that. And he's someone who's very aggressive and someone who's very charismatic, very attractive. Somebody mentioned charisma. But what if somebody is not very charismatic, but is able to control the senses, is very renounced, is not even famous, not known at all? Is that person a hero or not? Yes. Of course, such people of sterling spiritual and moral qualities automatically have many of the qualities that you have mentioned here. Honesty, simplicity, humility, and many other things that you've mentioned. These automatically come when one's mind and senses are controlled. And devotion you mentioned, yes. Devotion for what? Or devotion to what? Love to what? Who is the greatest hero of all? Not Krishna, I'm saying amongst humans. A pure devotee of the Lord, right? A pure devotee of the Lord is the greatest hero because the pure devotee has the greatest accomplishment, the highest accomplishment, which is pure devotion. It's a very rare thing. I mentioned earlier that an extraordinary achievement or an accomplishment, especially something that is very rare, rarely achieved by anyone in this world, and something that requires a lot of spiritual advancement, a lot of moral courage, sterling qualities of sacrifice and so on. What about preachers? Nobody mentioned preachers here. Great preachers, are they not heroes? Going out, risking their lives to preach. When many devotees preached behind the Iron Curtain in those days, when communism was still there in the Soviet bloc, and they would pack in Bhagavad Gitas in different ways in their cars and different boxes. It was life-threatening, and they would somehow enter the communist countries at risk to their lives, and then they would come in disguise, and somehow or the other they would distribute books, they would preach. And as you know, in the Soviet Union, the former Soviet Union, many of them were even arrested, sent to jail. Some were sent to psychiatric hospitals. Some of them died. Some of them had permanent mental problems after that. So were these not heroes? Great preachers who sacrificed their lives to preach Krishna consciousness all over? When you look at it, we have it so easy. And not just in our time, Prabhupada, the risk he took to cross the oceans at the age of 70, having 2 heart attacks, not knowing where he would eat, where he would live, where the money would come from, whether he would be successful, whether he would be able to return home at all again, ever. But he took such a great risk. So isn't one of the qualities also risk-taking? That a hero is one, a preacher is one who takes risks for his own life or her own life. There was one lady, Ladini Mataji, she was a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and she was in Africa, and she was preaching in West Africa, and there was a coup, and she was killed in the coup. She was shot dead by some local militia or soldiers or whatever. But she never gave up. She was there, even though the times were very troubled, but she continued to stay there. So are these not our heroes? So great devotees, great preachers. What about people who may not be on the forefront? Are the heroes only those who are out on the forefront and who are visible to everybody? What about the quiet heroes? By heroes here I mean both genders, male, female, okay? Those heroes who may be in the background and doing extraordinary work. Generally we think of a hero in terms of one who's right out in the forefront and is very famous and is a cynosure of all eyes, very charismatic, very attractive, very dynamic, does extraordinary things outside. Yes, this is the general conception of a hero. But what if somebody is right in the background, doing something very simple, but steadily? I'll give you an example. I went to a place called Melkote in South India. How many of you have been there? Okay. It's a place where Ramanujacharya, the great Sri Vaishnava Acharya, resided for many years when he was being persecuted. Of course, he is another great hero, Ramanujacharya. So he lived there. So recently I was there. And there are some famous temples in Melkote. One is the main temple on the plains, and there's another temple that is way up on a hill that's called the Yoga Narasimha temple, a famous Narasimha temple. And you have to climb up many, many stairs, and it's a steep climb. You know, by the time you reach the top, you need a lot of rest. And you have to pause in between. Unless you're really very physically fit, it's not easy to climb up quickly, even if you're young. And here was this Sri Vaishnava Brahmin whom I met, very unassuming, very humble, simple, and he lived a very devout, simple life, had a small little house. He had many offers to go to different places, but he preferred to do his service to Yoga Narasimha. For 40 years, every day, he was carrying buckets and buckets of water up because there was no water supply up on the hill. And he had to cook for Narasimha Dev. So he had to carry the buckets of water every day up and down, up and then come down and carry the provisions and everything up. And he had to do that several times a day because he had to cook many offerings. So every day he would do that for 40 years. When I met him, it was 40 years, so now a few more years. And even though he's quite elderly in age, but he's as tough, as physically tough as any Olympic athlete, because he's been doing that for 40 years. But completely unknown to everybody. Nobody knows him hardly. It was only by chance that I happened to meet him. One devotee introduced me to him. And this person is not a great preacher. He's not a great scholar. He's just a cook. Now remember, you just note the words I say. He's just a cook. Yes, because we think, oh, he's just a cook. But what a hero. 40 years, going up and down, 2 times, 3 times a day, and cooking there, and there's no, mixers and electronic gadgets, and everything has to be done by hand. And he's been doing it without complaint, and not only that, he's been doing that with great happiness. So much so that he doesn't ever want to leave this place. Sometimes he's invited by different devotees, why don't you come to our place and teach us how to cook and how you do this, how you do that, speak something. He says, no, I don't want to leave the service of Narasimha Dev. So he's there. So is he not a hero? So I'm trying to change the paradigm of who we think of as a hero. Don't think of a hero only in terms of those who are way on the forefront or who apparently do things that are very flamboyant or in the public eye. Also, in our own ISKCON temples and so on, we may have many people, especially some of the ladies, who may be every day doing the garlands for the deities, quietly for 3 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours every day, sitting quietly doing garlands, doing so many other services. Nobody notices them. One time I was in a certain temple, and a delegation of senior ladies came to see me, devotee ladies. And they said, we've been doing this for 25 years. Every day we've been spending 5 to 6 hours in the temple. We come from our homes, and that time our children were very young, but still we managed our house. We looked after our children. We didn't compromise that. We looked after the home, and we would come to the temple when the children were away at school, and we would rush back so that we could get in time to bring the children back. And then we would make garlands all day whenever we were free for the deities. We would cook Rajbhog for the deities. We would offer this seva. And we've been doing this meticulously for the last 25 years. And now we find that nobody is looking at us. Nobody recognizes us. And now we have some young people who come and they're going out preaching. They go out distributing books. And then everybody says, and they get glorified, they get appreciated. We don't mind they get glorified. They were just revealing their heart. So I won't tell you the name of the temple. They were just revealing their heart. They say, we don't mind they get glorified. That's fine. That's good. But what message are we sending out? That only one who goes out and distributes books is good, and those of like us who come and every day at great pain we come here, we take so much time and trouble to come, and we do this service for hours every day. So I said, no. They are heroes who go out in the streets, distribute books, who preach, who face the public in all sorts of adverse situations, but you're also heroes. Because you're also doing something that is not possible for others to do. This movement is like an army. An army doesn't function only on the frontline soldiers. The frontline soldiers have to go out and they fight the battle. But then, who else is there? Will the frontline, who do the frontline soldiers depend on? Are they independent? Are there other people whom they depend on to do their work? Who are they dependent on? Doctors, very important. Nurses, then cooks. Cooks. An army runs on its stomach, it says. Then who else? Political masters, all right. They don't depend on them really, but to fight the war. To fight the war, who else do they depend on? Trainers. Where does all the ammunition come from? Where do the guns come from? Where does the equipment come from? There's some people behind who are making all this equipment and the ammunition, isn't it? A lot of work goes on behind the scenes so that these people can be out there fighting. Of course, those who are out in the forefront, they're risking their lives, so therefore it's definitely so much more dangerous. But nevertheless, everybody has a role to play, a great contribution. Similarly, in our Sankirtan army, we have different kinds of heroes. There are some people who may not be able to go out to distribute books and to preach for so many reasons. But they come and they do these other valuable services, and in my humble opinion, they're also great heroes. We shouldn't minimize the service done by such devotees who may be doing it steadily day after day, day after day. For example, Jananivas Prabhu in Mayapur, 45 years, day in and day out, same service, with responsibility. Hero. These are our heroes. He's not doing anything flamboyant. It's only after when I was in London recently, about a year or two ago, it was the first time he came out of India in 40 years. And he came to London, and then he was speaking, he was going around, and he was being taken out to his places where he grew up. So he was going back after 40 years. Oh yeah, this was the place I grew up in, and so on. But for 40 years, focused on his service, in the background. These are real heroes for us. So steadiness, isn't steadiness in service something important? If somebody can do a form of devotional service day after day, year after year, with great determination, isn't that a heroic thing to do? What does it mean to keep on doing a particular service for years, for 40 years? What does it indicate? What qualities does it indicate? Determination. What else? Steadiness. Perseverance. Focus. Control of the mind. What does the mind say? The mind wants to do different things each moment. Oh, I've done this service for 1 year. Now I should do something different. Variety is the spice of life after all. So I should do something different, just the same thing every time, every day. It's so boring. I want to do something else. Yes? So this goes on. So these are some of the qualities that we can see in real life examples. Steadiness, determination, patience, yes, patience. Another quality of a real hero from a devotional point of view, especially those who could have the option of being in the forefront but don't, and they're at the back, is detachment from name and fame. You're not worried that I'll get appreciated, I'll get credit, and I'll be recognized, I'll get fame and glory and name. Not worried about it. Detached from name and fame. Those who are attached to name and fame are not the real heroes. Even though they may do some real extraordinary accomplishments, but from a devotional point of view, they are not. You have so many heroes in the world of movies, in the world of sports, and in so many other areas. But they are so full of themselves. Yes? I remember at the Bhaktivedanta Manor, one time, there was one famous television star from India who visited. Again, no names. Because I know the first thing in your mind is who? Yes? Here we're not talking about persons, rather we're talking of principles. So he was a big hero in terms of being recognized, in terms of his fame and so on and so forth. And he was a household name and a face in India. Wherever he went in India, people would crowd around him. And he couldn't go in any public place. But when he came to the manor, there was some lady sitting there doing flower garlands, and a few other people there. Nobody even looked at him. And a few devotees sitting there. And I wasn't there, but I was told by another devotee who was there. And there were quite a few devotees in the room, but nobody gave him a second look. Some people didn't even look up. There was no. Had it been in India, they would have been after him to get photographs and autographs. And then he got so flustered. He went up to one devotee and said, "Don't you know who I am?" When you're used to so much of name and fame and accolades and appreciation, you don't get it somewhere. Yes, then it hurts bad. So he got so frustrated because he didn't get that recognition. He just went and confronted a devotee and said, "Don't you know who I am?" He said, "No, I don't know who you are." And then he actually introduced himself. "I am so and so, I do this. And then they went around, okay. Then they gave him some Mahaprasadam, they did this and a little bit like that. And somehow or the other, even after coming to devotional service, devotees tend to have this fascination or attraction for heroes from the material world. One time in the late 80s, when I was temple president in one of the temples, I was trying to preach to one very famous movie actress in India, again. No names. So she was very, very favorable, and she was one of the really big names. And so then she was very favorable, and she was a dancer also, classical dancer. And so then I invited her to come for Janmashtami. She was a devotee of Krishna, actually. She was a devotee of Krishna. And so she agreed to do a free devotional dance program, cultural program for Janmashtami in one auditorium for our temple, and she didn't charge anything for it. And by the way, she also gifted me an impression of Prabhupada's lotus feet, and it's still in the temple. I got it from her. So then, anyway, just before the program, she wanted to come to the temple for darshan. So then she came along, and as soon as she entered the temple, all hell broke loose in the temple. Even devotees, there were lots of outsiders coming in because it was Janmashtami, and naturally they were, open-mouthed and watching. And even our devotees were supposed to do different kinds of stuff. And here was Krishna standing on the altar playing his flute. Nobody's looking at him. And here is some, famous heroine coming, although she's a very nice person, very good devotee and everything. Very genuine person. But nevertheless, Krishna was forgotten and everybody was just paying attention to her. The whole attention was the whole temple hall. I just noticed everybody. I said, not a single person was looking at Krishna. So then, after that, I think the next year onwards, I didn't call her. Although I would visit her and meet her sometimes and give her some little gift from Mahaprasadam and so on. But I didn't call her because I realized that we're not ready yet because we don't yet recognize the real heroes. Of course, it was very generous of her to have come and offered this as a free service when she could have charged a huge amount of money. So we see this happening. People are very fascinated by the external charisma that goes with being heroes in the modern day world. Somehow or the other, I do not know, I have some karma with film actors and film actresses. In these local flights in India, many occasions I've had famous film stars on the same flight as me. But fortunately, since I don't see movies, so I don't recognize them. I don't know who they are, but I can only deduce that they are film stars because everybody goes mad after them. And then they look very glamorous and all that, men, sometimes women, and then people run after them for autographs, and then they want photographs with them. And so I can understand there's some kind of film stars, although I don't know their names. So this is the way people are infatuated with heroes. And these people are all the current general heroines and heroes. They're very much attached to being recognized. And one of the most painful situations for people who've experienced fame is when they lose that fame and people don't recognize them anymore. When earlier they had hundreds and thousands of people coming to them on their birthdays, thousands of cards coming in, and now there's nothing. And once you passed your prime, and then not one phone call, not one card, not one visitor, it can be devastating. And actually there are many famous people who've committed suicide because of this kind of thing. So in our eyes, from a devotional point of view, people who are attached to their name and fame and so on are not the true heroes. The real heroes are those who are completely detached from all conceptions of name and fame and so on and so forth. These are real heroes. They do good work, not so that they can be known and recognized by people, but they do it for Krishna's pleasure. Actually, interestingly, this one quote comes in the Bible also. Very interesting. It says that a true hero works not for the recognition of men, but for the pleasure of the Supreme God. We call him Krishna. So the true hero is one who works only for Krishna, not for personal ambition, not for profit, adoration and distinction. Puja, labh, pratishtha. Heroes are those who are selfless, as somebody said. They sacrifice themselves for others. They are renounced. They have devotion for the Supreme Lord. They take great risks to deliver, to help others on the path of Krishna consciousness or for their benefit. So these are some of the qualities that we can see in heroes, and male and female both. Any other qualities that you can think of like this, by which we would identify real heroes, not the fallible heroes of this world? And mind you, some of the heroes we are talking about may not be very good looking from a physical point of view. General conception of heroes is that they must be very good looking. Otherwise you can't be a hero or a heroine. Or you must be very wealthy, etc. They may not have all these, they may not be charismatic even. But for us, from our point of view, great heroes. And there are many such unsung, unglorified heroes dotting history. But Krishna has recognized them. Even if humanity doesn't recognize them, Krishna recognizes them, and that is their glory. So any other such devotional qualities that you can see that characterize a person to be a real hero? And we'll talk about some examples from the next session onwards and see what we can learn from them. Any further examples? Yes?
Self-realized.
Self-realized, all right. Self-realization. Sorry? Equipoised, okay. Equipoised. Yes. Control of speech, very important. People today, because the speech is, the sense of speech is the most difficult to control actually. I remember in the Kumbh Mela in I think it was in 88 or 89 when I had gone there. It happens every 12 years in the major Kumbh Mela. So there was a huge crowd at one place. So I was with some devotees and I asked them, so what is this crowd for? And they were all looking up somewhere. So where are you looking up? He said, we're looking up on the tree. So what's up on the tree? He said, there was a tree house. And there was a sadhu sitting on that tree house. And I said, so why is he sitting up there and why is everybody around here? Again, no names. But they said this sadhu has taken a vow of silence and he hasn't spoken a word for 12 years. So that's something really enormous, isn't it? It's quite an achievement. Because one may control the urge to eat for some time. On Janmashtami or something, we may fast. But can you do one day without talking? Try it. It's more difficult. It's more difficult to stop talking than to stop eating. It's not easy because we're so accustomed to talking. So this person, this sadhu had stopped talking for 12 years. Generally, according to Yoga Siddhi, if you do that, then you get what is called Vak Siddhi. Then whatever you speak comes true. That kind of empowerment or Shakti they get. He was some kind of a yogi. So people become so enamored by such feats because it's so difficult to do, so he had become a hero for them. But of course, Maun Vrat or the vow of silence is not our conception of a hero. Our conception of a hero would be one who can talk 20 to the dozen about Krishna for 12 years. Go on talking, no problem, but talk about Krishna. Then you're a hero. So the control of the tongue means to not talk nonsense, Prabhupada says. And if you can't talk nonsense, then don't speak. But better than not speaking is to speak about Krishna. So one who only speaks about Krishna and therefore controls his tongue is our topmost hero as well. So it's 11:30 now. This was like a brief introduction to the whole topic, since we are just beginning. And after the break, when we come back, then we'll take on certain facets of the qualities that have been mentioned. And then we'll discuss the examples, and I'll be asking you many questions after that. So be ready. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.